You ever sit there scrolling and suddenly realize you've been watching the same 3-second sound on loop for 10 minutes? No storyline, no message, just Tung 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 Sahur, again and again. And somehow, you're still watching. Yeah, that's not an accident. That's brainrot content. It's not trying to teach you anything. It's not even trying to entertain you in the old sense. It's just there, looping, sticking, sliding into your brain like cheap gum under a school desk. Here's the weird part. It works because it's stupid. See, your brain's tired. Like existentially tired. News fatigue, social pressure, climate doom, productivity hacks, more news, advertisements, death, grind, hustle, repeat. And then a dancing toilet says, "Skibidi bop, yes, yes." And your brain just goes, "Thank you." Finally, something that expects nothing from me. That's not you being lazy. That's a survival tactic. The algorithm doesn't reward meaning. It rewards stickiness, catchiness, repeatability. It's not looking for wisdom. It's looking for what you'll watch without resisting, what you'll share without thinking. That's why the Sahur sound works. It doesn't need to mean anything. It's optimized for loopability, not intelligence. This isn't new. Baudrillard talked about hyperreality, where the copy becomes more real than the original. Meaning doesn't matter when the simulation feels better than the truth. Mark Fisher said we live in capitalist realism. No alternatives, just memes in the ruins. So we make noise. We cling to absurdity. Because if we stop, we might feel how empty everything is. Posting nonsense becomes resistance. Irony is a shield. Stupidity becomes safety. If everything gets monetized, politicized, dissected, then nothingness feels honest. You don't need a stance to scream skibidi. You just need a pulse and a phone. And yeah, it's funny, but it's also a little tragic. The fact that we're more fluent in meme audio than in our own emotions says a lot. Michael Bull talked about ambient media, how we use sound and noise to blur the edges of reality. That's what this is. TikTok brainrot is ambient rebellion. It's a generation quietly opting out, and the system eats it up. The weirder it is, the less it says, the more it spreads. Because attention isn't just fractured, it's been weaponized. So you start to optimize yourself for chaos, fast cuts, flashy edits, fragmented sounds. You're not telling stories anymore. You're just feeding the beast. But here's the real kicker. Maybe that's the point. Maybe in a world where nothing feels stable, stability becomes a trap. And nonsense becomes the only thing that feels real. So the next time you hear Tung 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 Sahur, maybe it's not just noise. Maybe it's a little cry for help wrapped in a joke. Or maybe it's just what we've all become. And maybe that's okay. Let's talk about why this stuff keeps spreading, why it feels like no matter what's happening in the world, the dumbest thing in your feed is always the loudest. It's not just because people are getting dumber. That's lazy thinking. It's more like smart content feels heavy now, like trying to read a novel in the middle of a house fire. There's this kind of quiet burnout happening online. You scroll, you skim, you tap through stories you don't even care about. And then something absurd hits you. A guy eating drywall, a synth voice yelling, "Gar Skibidi Toilet." And suddenly you're awake. Why? Because absurdity doesn't ask anything of you. It doesn't need you to be informed. It doesn't challenge your beliefs, it just is. And that's kind of the point. Mark Fisher called it reflexive impotence. Like, we know things are broken, we just can't picture anything else. So we laugh at the mess. We meme it, we loop it, we repost the glitch instead of fixing the code. And here's where the algorithm gets real smart. It doesn't care what something means. It only cares if it moves. If it hooks you, makes you tap, makes you stay just 0.3 seconds longer than you meant to. The more disjointed, the more chaotic, the better. It's the attention economy version of junk food. Fast, addictive, empty, but man, it goes down easy when you're tired. And people are tired. Emotionally, psychologically, culturally, there's too much to care about, too much to know. So when something brain dead goes viral, it's not because people are dumb, it's because everything else feels impossible to process. Absurd content is like a pressure valve. It's the only place where no one expects you to be coherent, productive, or right. It's safe. And yeah, it's weird that this is where we landed. That brainrot memes became the way we soothe ourselves. But once you see it that way, not as failure, but as adaptation, it kind of makes sense. Like, Maybe stupidity isn't the opposite of intelligence. Maybe it's what we run to when intelligence has been wrung dry. There's this shift that snuck up on us. Used to be, if you wanted attention online, you had to be clever, or emotional, or at least clear. Now, just be chaotic. You've seen it. Clips that feel like your brain's buffering in real time. Flashing lights, glitchy audio, someone lip-syncing to a sound that makes no sense at all. Then a fart sound. Then a Minecraft creeper jump scare. Then a sudden inspirational quote for no reason. It's not content, it's a seizure. But weirdly, it works. It feels like the internet now, because structure doesn't spread, fracture does. Tristan Harris talked about this. Algorithms don't optimize for quality or truth. They optimize for whatever hijacks your instincts. Speed, contrast, surprise, chaos. So the more a video feels like it's collapsing, the more it grabs you. Even your brain starts adjusting. You skip anything slower than 2 seconds. You bail on anything coherent unless it's chopped up with captions and SFX. You're not watching content anymore. You're decoding glitch signals, training yourself to live inside noise. And that's the scary part. This stuff doesn't just reflect how people think. It reprograms how people think. Like, you don't just scroll through Brainrot. You start thinking in it, talking in meme fragments, finishing sentences with TikTok audios, struggling to sit with one thought for more than 5 seconds before craving a jump cut. And no one's immune. Doesn't matter if you read books or have a degree. These platforms work at the level beneath thought. They reach straight into the nervous system. So now we're all trying to win a game that punishes focus and rewards fragmentation. You don't go viral by being smart. You go viral by being loud, weird, interruptive, and then gone. And if you're not playing the game, you feel like you're fading. So even you, the thoughtful one, the observer, you start asking, should I post nonsense too? Not because it means anything, but because meaning doesn't trend. Alright, here's where it gets kind of uncomfortable. Because we can talk about algorithms and TikToks and memes all day, but eventually you have to admit, some part of you likes this. Needs it even. Not just for laughs, but for escape? Like, yeah, you know it's brain rot, but you let it in anyway. Because between the work stress, the news cycle, the politics, the money problems, the loneliness, you don't want to feel anything else. You want off the ride. Just for a second. And that's what this stuff gives you. Not meaning, not connection. Just noise. A break. A blur. It's like turning the volume up so high that it cancels out your own thoughts. And I get it. I've done the same. Some days you don't want a TED Talk. You want a capybara spinning in space to the sound of someone slapping a raw chicken. Because it's safe. It's stupid on purpose. No message, no agenda, no judgment. Just white noise that makes you feel less alone in the absurdity. And maybe that's the most honest thing about brain rot content. It's not lying to you. It's not pretending to be deep or helpful or motivational. It's not selling you a 12-step system to fix your life. It's just showing you how weird the world feels and letting you laugh at it. Maybe that's why we trust it more than the polished stuff. Because at least it's not pretending to make sense. Let's break this down with real stuff you've definitely seen, or tried to scroll past but couldn't. First, Tung 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 Sahur. Doesn't matter if you're Muslim or not. That sound invaded timelines like an earworm from the void. It wasn't a song, it wasn't a joke. It wasn't even timed with Ramadan half the time. It just worked because it didn't try to. It was rhythm without meaning, familiarity without context, a sound that could attach to literally anything. Dancing cat? Sahur. Car drifting? Sahur. Guy falling off a ladder? Sahur. It was ambient absurdity. Loopable, blank, viral. Then there's Skibidi Toilet. You can't even explain that one without sounding insane. Giant heads in toilets battling cameramen with glitchy rave music in the background. No plot, no payoff. Just escalating nonsense. And yet, it's got lore. Kids follow it like it's Game of Thrones. It feels important, even if it's incoherent. Why? Because it keeps escalating, keeps surprising, keeps glitching just enough to stay sticky. And the latest wave? AI mashups from hell. Peter Griffin singing Radiohead, Mr. Krabs' rapping drill, Joe Biden fused with SpongeBob debating Goku about crypto. These aren't jokes anymore, they're digital fever dreams. They go viral not because they're good, but because they're unignorable. They don't entertain, they interrupt. And that's what today's content is really about. Hijacking your brain before it can decide whether it wants to care. We're not watching stories. We're just reacting to noise. Nonsense is winning, not despite being nonsense, but because of it. Because in a feed full of polished, serious, algorithmically optimized content, the thing that breaks the system becomes the system. So here's where most people would try to wrap it up with some kind of takeaway. Like, we need to consume better content. Or the youth are lost, let's fix it. But that's not what this is. I'm not here to shame anyone for vibing to brain rot. I do it too. Some nights it's the only thing that gets through the static. And maybe that says something kind of real. Maybe this whole thing, this endless loop of glitch sounds and meme sludge and chaotic edits, it's not just noise. Maybe it's a mirror, not a flattering one, but an honest one. It reflects the speed we live at, the fatigue we carry, the pressure to always be on, always be interesting, always be productive. So we snap, we post dumb stuff, we laugh at toilet heads, we turn to nonsense because everything else feels like too much effort for too little reward. And in that nonsense, there's this weird kind of honesty, like, if I can't fix the world, maybe I'll at least post something that breaks the feed. Something so chaotic, so obviously useless that the algorithm can't monetize it into meaning. It's not activism, it's not a solution, but it's something. A little rebellion made of dumb sounds and jump cuts. A little emotional off-ramp from a system that's been running on fumes for years. No clean ending here, no big lesson. Just this. If it all feels stupid right now, that might actually be the most rational response you could have. So what now? You stop watching memes? Delete TikTok? Read a book and touch grass? Nah, that's not the point. And you already know those takes don't stick. They're guilt trips dressed as wisdom. The better question might be, what are you actually using this stuff for? Like, what is a Skibidi Toilet giving you that your real life isn't? Maybe it's not entertainment. Maybe it's relief, silence. A place where no one expects you to be smart or useful or politically correct. Just a dopamine snack that doesn't ask questions. But here's the trap. If that becomes the only place your brain feels safe, what happens to everything else? Your attention becomes this chopped up, pixelated thing. You stop finishing thoughts. You start forgetting how to sit still with boredom or discomfort or focus. And slowly, all the quiet parts of your brain, where the deep stuff lives, they shrink. That's what freaks me out more than the content itself. It's not that we're laughing at dumb stuff. Humans have always done that. It's that we don't even notice when we stop wanting anything but dumb stuff. That's not failure, it's conditioning. And if we don't at least notice it, there's no one steering the wheel anymore. Just a bunch of half-aware minds floating in a stream of garbage, thinking it's water. So yeah, no fix here. Just a moment to pause and ask, when was the last time something quiet held your attention? And if you can't remember, maybe that's worth paying attention to.